It's okay to be uncomfortable in a sales conversation, but it's not okay to be defensive. Marla, I'm a sales skills expert, and I'm going to give you 3 examples today that you can use in a sales conversation at those points you feel like you need to be defensive. So I'm a sales skills expert. I've helped people make over 50 million in revenues. I focus on helping network marketers and direct sellers be successful. So I want you to subscribe to my channel below, and I want you to be sure to know the next time I go live. So let's talk about this thing called uncomfortable versus defensive. Sellers get uncomfortable when buyers throw out things like, it's too expensive. Oh, but I know about something that doesn't work with that. Or they keep raising the same objection all the time. So what you want to do is to understand what is going on for them. This is their defensive posture. So don't be defensive against defensive. Instead, you come back and you keep the conversation on track. Well, you go, how do you keep the conversation on track? Well, the first example is called fogging. So let's say you're in a sales conversation and someone says, oh, this is really expensive. Well, don't get defensive and justify the cost. That is not what they're saying, and nor are they asking. You just might say, yes, it is expensive because I feel it has this kind of value attached to it. And I've got other people buying the product who also feel it brings that same value. Is that value important to you? So you segue from where you are. It's a little bit of fogging. You don't have to give them a direct answer. You don't have to agree with the fact that it's expensive. You chose to sell it. So by goodness, don't go starting to make problems where they shouldn't exist. Next are those negative assertions that people give you. And you want to come back and get it back on track. So let's say you're discussing your product and someone says, but I heard this has this that doesn't work and this falls apart, or this happens after a certain amount of time, or it doesn't do this, it doesn't do that. And what you can say is, well, I agree we have some limits here. However, most customers find the benefits outweigh that particular limit. So let's look again at what it is you need, and let's see if this product fully serves your needs. And if it does, then maybe that limit that they found is not your limit. So that's a nice recreation of a negative assertion that the buyer has made. And so now you know about fogging. Shift the perspective on price and cost. Go ahead and shift that negative that someone found. In other words, don't let them throw you off track. And lastly, there's the broken record technique. Have you ever heard of the broken record technique? It's when someone keeps coming back and giving you the same example about their problem or their resistance to it, or it sounds like they've not heard your answer is really what it is. They keep saying the same thing over and over again, but they haven't really heard you. Well, you might say, I understand your concern, and I assure you that this product has met this criteria, it's passed this test, it's done this. And you repeat yourself 2-3 times, because then they'll finally hear you. I have many of my coaching clients come back and tell me that this is the one step that they really like, especially when they know their buyer is not listening. So it's not our job to cram information into people. However, if they have engaged with us, they have decided that they want to look at what we have, and they're standing there and still not receiving any information, that is the buyer's problem. So it is okay, and it is not insulting, to just reframe your answer each time, but give the same answer. Don't go off trying to find new justifications and new relationships. If they've not heard the first thing that you're sharing, then you want to repeat that. Become the broken record. Now, for those of you who've heard of this technique before and it's uncomfortable, it's okay. Just practice it. But be sure that you're hearing all the dynamics of that question or that concern that they have, so that you can definitely be sure you're giving the clearest answer possible. So there's all sorts of ways to stay out of being defensive in a sales conversation. So first thing is when people are throwing things out at you, just consider that, well, they think that way, but I don't. It's my product. I chose to sell this product. I'm comfortable with my product. I'm proud of my product, so I'm going to sell it. So don't feel like you have to go in and dive into every one of those little things that somebody throws at you that throws you off your feed. You want to stay on track with the conversation and still engage with the person. When someone tells you that your product seems expensive, that does not mean they're not buying. When someone says that, well, I know that it has this limitation, that does not mean that they're not buying. And if someone can't hear the answers to their concerns, it still doesn't mean they're not buying. So remember, you have 3 tools to use. That is fogging, and that is your comeback to the negative assertion that's very gracious, and it's your broken record technique. So again, subscribe to this channel, tune in, and I have some free tips for you in the comments. So just go ahead and get those for yourself. And I look forward to seeing you the next time I go live.